working for you.
We're going to go to the phone lines. We were supposed to have another member on the panel.
Yes. Yeah.
The Nevis end of it, Mr. Lester Blackett.
That's correct.
Mr. Blackett, if you're there listening, we would invite you to call in and to give your input to this discussion. But the numbers to call are 465-2555. That's the local number. And the overseas number is 1-718-577-2916. That is 1-718-577-2916. We await your calls. Okay, so
In the meantime,
we have a caller already, it appears. Working for you, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. William.
Good afternoon, sir.
And good afternoon to your guest engineer there, Carl Brown here.
good afternoon, sir.
So, you talking about engineering. Could you answer me a question or two? Does the government or NHC have engineers on these projects where we call project houses and things that is building all around the island?
From the association engineering standpoint, we don't, but it's most likely that they would have their own engineers dealing with those projects, Calvin.
Yes, I believe that
The reason why I asked that question, because on such projects supposed to have an engineer checking at different stages of the work,
That's
because
correct.
the lot of bomb jobs that you get, you want to know if engineers are coming to check the different stages of the work to see that they are doing these work correctly according to the plan. Because after the homes bill and people come into them, it's thousands of dollars NHC have to come back to recorrect work. So we are asking that engineers be on these projects to see the different stages of these work, so that the work go correctly, because you don't see any engineers around. And the kind of work you get is what we call bum job here in construction. And what about roads? A lot of roads is being doing. There's supposed to be an engineer to check to see that these people are doing the roads according to the plan.
Though that responsibility falls squarely on Public Works. Public Works is the entity responsible for all the contractual agreements.
Well, you would have heard some of the complaints, and you would have seen some of the conditions of some of the roads when they're done to others. So you got to question again if engineers do come around on a not annual basis to check to see that the correct design according to the plan is going on, because some of the road work, I ain't no tradesman, but you got to call some of them road bum jobs are gone, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. I suppose that, like anything, like an ecosystem, you have everything working together. So, I mean, you have the contractors and the engineers and the carpenters and the masons and the electricians and the plumbers. Whatever, you have all of these people who are working on a project, and everything somehow has to be synchronized.
That's correct.
Yep.
In order to get the end product.
All disciplines has to be synchronized.
All disciplines
Yes.
have to be
If
synchronized.
you're working on a large project, I can easily say this from my experiences. For an example, you have civil structure, you have mechanical, you have electrical, you have process piping.
Yeah.
But
what Carl was saying, for example, is to have the engineer. The engineer might not necessarily come on the project, but at the very same time, there are people who understand.
the periodical inspection
Yes,
must be carried out.
periodical
But
inspection.
there's a certain amount of quality control.
That's right.
Yes.
Now, if I do a design, I must be able to come on site and make sure the design is carried out to a T. because then there is my reputation,
That's right.
and I'm accountable for that project, and I'm also responsible. So there's a certain amount of accountability and responsibility that goes along with you being the engineer over a specific project. And so you must be able to visually confirm that the project is running according to plan.
According to the plan,
Yes.
right? And that is important, because sometimes I've heard of cases even in homes where homes have been built and the whole thing is just messed up,
Yeah.
and that is because there was no sort of, you correct, quality control.
And there's another aspect of it too.
Hold on, just up in there, Calvin. There is the issue of going the short way to get things done. You find it a lot in the engineering field, but it's also predominant in the architectural field, where persons would figure, well, the draftsman could charge a bit less than the architect, and so let's go that route. But the architect would come on the job to make sure that his end product is what it is, or the plans that he produced.
A draftsman is not an architect,
Correct.
Just when it's a
but
draft-
sometimes the lines are crossed.
Yes.
sometimes you
What's the
perform-
difference?
It on the same in the same light that we look at an engineer, where he would do more calculations and be more precise
Design.
to get in design and get the end product. A draftsman would come and give you a plan and say, look, give me $5,000 to do it. An architect might charge you 15, might be 3 times the amount. But the architect would also involve a civil engineer to make sure the structure would stand up properly, involve the other aspects of engineering to
Follow
make
the
sure your
codes.
sewage and follow codes and standards, and give you a design. And the architect will also come out and make sure that the end product is what you actually paid for. And the architect is one who would come and tell the contractor, hey, this wall shouldn't be here, the wall should be back at least 4 inches back that way. And so you would be more specific with an architect. You would get a better result. You would get a better structurally sound building, because, as I said, the architect would involve different engineers and different discipline in getting the end product as you want it, as you paid for.
And he also has his reputation that he has at stake, which is very important. And the other part I'd like to add to is a warranty, a guarantee after the construction, that is not being promoted much in our region. When you build a property for $500,000 or $1 million, what warranty do the owner has after that? How long it is, right? If anything happens, you can't find the architect, or you can't find the engineer, you can't find the draftsman, you can't find anybody. You know, this is something that's supposed to be in the contract. You have an obligation to that client for a period of time that should be stipulated by legal legislation. I mean, this is what happened, you know, internationally, so to speak. You know.
Yeah, and that brings me to another question, Mr. James. In terms of liabilities,
That's right.
Insurance for professional engineers, malpractice.
Right.
As an association, how do you address those issues?
No, go ahead.
That's why you hit in an area that I'm very, very knowledgeable of, because this is not the area that be promoted much in our region, but in North America, especially in Canada, you can say it's mandated. Okay, it's almost like a doctor malpractice. That is why you join the engineering association, because you should be covered by insurance, right? We are human, we make mistakes, right? But it's mandatory for you to have the coverage of insurance, and for any other ills that may develop unforeseen or even deliberate, for that matter. So I would really like to encourage that. I had a presentation before, you know, on consulting engineers and so forth, which that was part of it, in the sense of you know, having proper insurance for your work and for you as a person in the different projects that you might undertake.
Okay. If I were a young engineer, fresh out of college, coming back here to St. Kitts and the Nevis, how would I be able to register with the association?
Well,
Mr. Greer.
It's We have a website that is under construction, so soon you'll be able to go online and find us online. We have an active Facebook page where you could leave a message or reach out to us to our actual Facebook page. And basically through word of mouth, once you meet an engineer, most engineers in St. Kitts are part of the Engineering Association. About 90% of the engineers in St. Kitts are a part of the association. Just last week, I got a chemical engineer submitted his application to join the Engineering Association.
Okay, so there is you have to have some sort of a due diligence, because nowadays you have all kind of quacks.
That's correct.
Yes.
And people who are parading themselves as experts on this and experts on that when they don't have a thing. You know, they probably would have gotten their degree from a degree mill and all of that sort of a thing. A school without accreditation and all of that sort of a thing. Some say they're doctors and they're not even janitors.
Yeah.
You know? So what due diligence do you have?
This is part of our constitution. As a matter of fact, the constitution clearly defines the processing. When you make application, that's go to. We have to approve your application by way of you giving us all the details of your background, education, where you studied and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even experiences, if you're an experienced engineer, you work here, you work there. We follow up on that.
And you do background checks.
We do background checks, you know, criminal records as far as that concerns. Nobody come in because you're, especially now where you have free movement of people, you have engineers coming here and they want to know what's happening. You don't know their background.
Mm-hmm.
So we are now in process of really setting that up. As a matter of fact, as I look at the vision that we had here, that we started some work on it, and this is why we are now trying to revive it in a way, to get things going on the website, having more frequent meetings, networking and communicating with all the members on our engineering association. I think this is the area we're on the short list for us to really follow up on in the coming weeks and months.
Okay, how do you see your association contributing really to national development? Mr. Grill. And for example, how would you want to see the new generation of engineers? What would you like to see? What are you looking for? I suppose that you consider yourself as part of the new generation.
New gen.
Look at that. New generation engineering.
New gen.
That's why I laugh. Yeah, this is the name of my company. What I would like to see for the new generation of engineering is more seamless collaboration, where you bring them in, you get the foot wet on small projects, so at least at the end of the day, what you would want from them is to transition out of whatever system they're in and become entrepreneurs and hold their own and contribute to the unemployment level in St. Kitts, and also contribute to education, you know, because even if you could identify a doctor by something, you hear, oh, that's a doctor. You could identify a lawyer, but normally an engineer, you don't really get much recognition. And I guess it's where the money is. I don't know what the problem is, but you, as an engineer, you don't get much recognition unless you out there having extremely large projects every day. You don't really get that much recognition. So it's getting them involved, getting them in tune, also doing your civic duty, giving back to the community, going and talking to the kids in the school, imparting that knowledge, encouraging those kids to become engineers in whatever discipline, and also just being out there, being productive, and anticipating the market, anticipating will be necessary for you to start applying some pressure, applying some force, you know, because everybody ain't gonna be working for government or working in the private sector. At some point in time, you should have that aspiration that you want to branch off and become that leader that you were born to be. You already reach halfway, you're an engineer, and so you branch off and you become an entrepreneur and pull persons with you.
How active is the association? And what is your membership drive like?
Just before I answer that question, with the permission of
Yes,
my
most
president,
definitely,
my
most
president,
definitely.
I have to recognize my president. You know.
Sure.
It's a challenge that I've observed in defining an engineer and a professional engineer. Depends on which part of the world you study. If you're from Europe or England, everybody's an engineer. But if you're in Canada, I can tell you, I believe parts in the United States which I happen to be experienced of, that PEng, professional engineer, make a difference. Okay? And that is why I wanted to kind of clear that up, especially for the public who is not in this
Yeah, but
particular
what
area.
is the difference and what qualifies it to be
the
a
professional
PEng?
engineer is usually university graduate, right? Anybody who fixes an engine in England, they call them an engineer, you know. And that is really one of the basic difference between an engineer and a professional engineer.
Okay.
And I wanted to really get that across. The other area too that I think is important too, as you mentioned about what we are doing or how we can get. It's very important for us to really let the young people know, or the younger, I'll use the word younger members know, the importance of being a member of a professional organization. It's just like the Law Society, Medical Society, the Engineering Society or the Engineering Association doesn't have that longevity, continuous, like those other professions. And this is why we are here today, to really let the public at large and the members, potential members and otherwise know that, look, we need to step up. Let me put it in local parlance, right? We need to step up and let them know, especially with the development what's going on in the Federation and outside, and the reputation that Kitishan Division has brought to the world. We need to let them understand, look, we as SKNAPE, St. Kitts and Nevis Association of Professional Engineers are equivalent and acceptable to any other engineering association in the world.
Okay.
If I leave from here as a member and without any Canadian education, and I'm a member of SKNAPE, I should be able to apply in anywhere in Canada, North America, and England for permission to work.
Okay.
Likewise, the English guy come down here, American come down here, Canadian come down here. They don't have to apply. They're just going to start a work. Why should that be? I'll leave you with that.
Okay. Now, what is your membership?
Membership.
How many people do you have in the association? Active members within the association,
Active.
and even those who are not active. How many members in total do you have in the association?
About 90. We have about 90 members.
90
between St.
members.
Kitts and Nevis.
And the association is not just for engineers. Who can be a
Yes.
part of the association? Engineers, of course. Real engineers.
Yeah.
And who else?
Technicians.
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 Yeah.
And if you're pursuing a degree in engineering and you
Students.
want to
Students.
Yeah.
be an engineer, and it also serves as a beacon of employment, because then, let's say you have some structural problems or have an electrical problems, and you want an electrical engineer to look at it, give you a second opinion. You call us, we would send out one day, and we would send out one day electrical engineer. Let's say there's a structural problem, we could send out a structural problem. Let's say the government wants to discuss
Environment.
the environment and the impact of certain things on the
Especially
environment.
global warming.
Yes.
That's a key factor right now.
I want to discuss
Yeah.
the implementation of solar panels. I want
Yeah.
to construct a hospital. We could send out a team of engineers that would collaborate with the government and make sure the government makes the correct decision. Also in the private sector. Or also if you as a resident have issues in your home, your roof, whatever, you could get expert
advice.
opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and then in turn, would guide you towards the contractors association that would get contractors out, and or if you might have your own contractor, and you move forward with knowledge.
The 6 disciplines I mentioned earlier clearly cover the whole spectrum of anybody with that kind of a background. Science back, yeah.
We have a call. Working for you. Good afternoon.
Good day, sir. How are you?
Hello.
Good day.
Good day.
Yes, I just passing by and I hear engineers talking. I'm always intrigued with engineers. So engineers are the people who run the world. Engineers in America get more respect than even say a lawyer. And these guys, you know, you have to show them the respect. So really, you know, and you're a good interviewer too, sir, gentlemen, for SKNAPE. But the engineers are the people who run the world, whether it's in the any country, developing country you go to. No, like you said, thinkers have some people who say they're engineers, and they're no engineers. I know there's one man. Everybody thinks he was the biggest engineer in thinking. He worked for the bank. He's down now, but he worked, and he's no engineer. He did a couple of months course in Canada, but everybody thought he was the biggest engineer in thinking. So you have to, what do you do to really vet these people, you know? But engineers are the thing. They're the people who build in the world today, and they get more respect than lawyers. Lawyers, you know, these are the guys who do the math, the engineers. So, you know, you're doing a good job there, guys, and congratulations to you guys. So it takes math. It's not too many people could do math anymore. Have a good day.
Thank you for your
Thank you very
contribution.
much.
Thanks,
No, we
sir.
have to be wrapping up this program. Mr. James, you wanted to say something?
But
But of course, I would want to know who makes up your executive on the thing as well, and then we can wrap up. If you wanted to say something to what the gentleman just said, and then we can wrap up this program. You were saying something
yeah.
before
I'll leave the executive. I'll leave the president
the
to
guy
tell-
called in. You were saying something.
Yeah, I
you
have
can
some,
finish it.
Yeah, I'll leave
And
the
then-
president to tell you about the
yes.
executive. I just wanted to add one line that might be related, in the sense that people need to know that we have what we refer to as it's a tagline, if you like, or it's one of our it's a motto. That's the better word. It's really a motto, and I like to echo this motto. SKNAPE motto is engineering through creativity, innovation, and collaboration. That says a lot. It'll take me another day to explain the whole thing. But I believe if you think about what we're saying here, engineering through creativity, create, innovation, innovate, and collaboration, we must reach out. I think that tells you exactly the whole background of what engineering. And that's the key motto for SKNAPE. And it so happened that I won that creativity.
Okay.
But I'll leave it to the president.
Our executive is made up of about 6 persons. Myself being the president, Mr. Blackett out of Nevis, Lester Blackett, who is the vice president. The treasurer is Lauren Gums. The secretary is Mario Williams, and Calvin James and Bertil Brown are the executive members.
Executive directors.
Executive directors. Okay, is there anything else that you would like to say? I think we had quite a lively discussion today. So many issues coming out of what you've said today. I can see why it is important to have an association like yours. I didn't know about it before, but I can really see, you know, how meaningful it really is to the existence of engineers here in St. Kitts and Nevis, because you play a crucial role in terms of the development of the country, or should play a crucial role, let me put it that way, in terms of development, which redounds to economic development and so on. So I basically want to thank both of you for being on today's program.
Well, we want to thank you for having us also. It has been something that we have been wanting to do for quite some time, and we finally made it possible with your permission. So we want to thank you again on behalf of the executive and all the various members that we have throughout St. Kitts and also Nevis for having us here today. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
Mr. Grill and
Well, I
my
would-
good friend, Mr.
Calvin
James.
James. That's
Calvin,
correct. Thanks
right,
a lot.
okay.
I just like to say in wrapping up, in the sense that I would like to leave an invitation to all members to participate, and at the same time request an invitation for a follow-up, because we have lots more in store, and we'd like to have to give more information out to the public.
Okay, thank you to
Thank you very
both
much.
of you.
Thanks.
You have been listening to Working For You. I want to thank all of our listeners to today's program and our callers to today's program. Today we had on the panel Mr. Calvin James, who is Executive Director of the St. Kitts and Nevis Association of Professional Engineers, and Mr. Nubian Griot, who is the President of that association. Next week we will be back for another edition of Working For You. Until then, take care. Enjoy Music Festival. We will be back next week. I am Lesroy Williams.
Working For You. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Lesroy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working For You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working For You.